Once more to the theme park. Dead End Paranormal Park Season 2. Still fun. Actually, I think I like this one a little bit better. Now, part of that's probably just me. I had kind of noted that I felt like Season 1 kind of dove into the deep end a little faster than I would have preferred, like kind of before I got a handle on all the characters and the setting. It was already heading into the far end of some of the weird stuff. Things do get weirder in this one, but also I'm more familiar with the characters. I've got my feet under me now. So I have a better time with this. I'll probably enjoy the first season more if I ever go back and rewatch it. But just on first impressions, I like the second season a little bit better. And it goes some interesting places, it should be said. I don't want to get too much into spoilers, I don't think. But I think some of the twists of what comes towards the tail end work. They are interesting. I'm hoping this gets another season. I don't think it's been confirmed that it will yet, but the 2 seasons we get are quite satisfying, and I do enjoy them. There are a lot of things sort of done over the course of this with some of the characters that are really kind of fascinating. One of the things I really appreciate is something that goes on with Norma in relation to a crush that she has. One of the things, I won't go into too much detail on this, but one of the things I really appreciate about this is that I feel like the majority of times, especially in a cartoon, especially in something aimed at kids, that when somebody confesses a crush, it's almost always met with, oh, I feel the same way too, especially if the person with the crush was like super nervous to tell them. And while that can be sweet, I really appreciate that this show goes, okay, sometimes you're not going to get the answer you want. And also, sometimes that can make things a little weird and awkward for a bit. But you can also move past that with a little work and a little communication. But I like it because it's the reality sometimes. And it's a reality that at least I am not aware of too many times that I haven't seen it, certainly. Obviously, there's a ton of children's media out there I've never seen. Maybe this is more commonplace than I'm thinking. But like my gut instinct watching it was like, I feel like they don't show the crush confession as going in the, well, that didn't really work out, did it, direction, which is what we get here. And I think that's quite well handled. There's also some interesting things in regards to sort of coming to terms with finding out that someone who you idolized is a toxic person who doesn't deserve your adulation, and living in the era of cancel culture and the like, which really should just be called accountability. I think that's something that it's not a bad thing to sort of prep kids to be aware that they might have to do at some point in their lives, that somebody that they're like, oh, this person's wonderful and awesome. And then you learn a little bit more about them and you go, oh, crap. And that is dealt with, and that's in here. There's some real good stuff just covering self-acceptance, finding one's place, and like finding a place where one can thrive, even if that is not necessarily in the exact same way that your other friends are thriving. Some of that is done with some stuff that goes on with Barney. And I like it because, again, there's a bit more of a shift from how I'm used to seeing this and a little bit more nuance because, for instance, I feel like very often stories of like finding your place in the world is about having, a crummy home life or maybe a crummy school life even. But then, you find your friends and then you find your place. Now, Barney's already found his friends, but he still is trying to find, he's even found a boyfriend, but he's still trying to find spaces where like he truly can feel at home and feel like he can thrive in some ways that aren't being fulfilled by other means. And that doesn't mean that his friendships or his relationship aren't meaningful to him. They are, but that doesn't cover everything. And these aren't ideas that it like stops and does a, now here's the moral of today's story, kids, kind of thing, but it tackles them quite well. And with a fair amount of nuance and subtlety. There's also some interesting storytelling stuff done. There's what is effectively a two-parter where we get one half of it where we get Norma at her house dealing with this whole thing. And then at the end of the episode, she goes back to the park and finds just chaos going on. And the next episode is, okay, let's cover how this chaos in the park happened. And eventually have Norma come in at the end, then we'll continue the actual story. And it's not like I've never seen something like that before, but it's a fun premise. It's a fun setup. And that's kind of the thing. The actual stories, the narratives, most of them, there's a little heavier stuff towards the tail end, but most of them fall under the heading of that's a fun and kind of ridiculous story. But there's some deeper emotional understandings of these people as characters and the complications, the way things are difficult. It's not the single most in-depth thing ever, because it is ultimately still for kids, so it is slightly simplified. But there's more going on with these characters than just the immediate stuff they're dealing with. But there's more going on with them always. Because I feel like sometimes with shows that try and be like, okay, so here's the adventure, but like there's more going on with these characters, it's like a case-by-case thing. It's like, well, yes, we have this adventure or this thing that we're dealing with, but also this character is anxious or sad or whatever because of X, but we'll largely deal with that over the course of the episode. Here, it's drawn out, and these are more fundamental to who these characters are. These are things they're always dealing with to some degree or another, or at the very least dealing with over multiple episodes. So it doesn't feel like we're going to stick this in to up the drama for this one episode. It feels more like ways in which the characters are dealing with real stuff that crops up fairly naturally over the course of the individual episodes as they tell their, again, often pretty fun stories. And I still think Pugsley's my favorite. He's just so sweet. He's just so lovable. Courtney's definitely still my kiddo's favorite. I did call the twist with Courtney a little bit before the reveal, and I said it out loud with my kid in the room, and she was like, I mean, maybe, I don't know. And then I got it confirmed. I was like, I called it. Ha! That felt good. Later twist, and I'm not even really going to describe it, but a later twist that goes on towards the finale. I did not see that one coming. It was like, well, I'm sorry, what? But it was cool. It's kind of cool and kind of neat. And there's and sort of the ideas towards the end of this automatic assumption of authority or what's the word I want? I can't think of it, but an assumption, righteousness. There it is. An assumption of righteousness from a certain kind of person, and an assumption of irredeemability of another kind of person. And not person in the traditional sense. These aren't human characters. These are non-human characters we're talking about, but it does kind of tackle those base assumptions, which again is nice. And there's just more depth and nuance into the character interactions and the understanding of the world. And as these characters come to better understand how they're going to move forward in this world, it's really well done. Kudos. I hope there's more. Dead End Paranormal Park Season 2. What did you think about this? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills around here. Any amount you're able to help is of great assistance. Even if you can't, there's other stuff in the description you can check out as well. Even if you're not in the mood for that, like, share, subscribe is real quick. All that helps me out. Don't worry too much about it, though. We take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can just come on back next time you need a break. End of the video, so I gotta shout out my top patrons. Robin Moore, Zubin Lutfulla, Tarak, the thing that goes doink in the anime, Oliver B., Angus Bjarnason, Melinda Walters, Imudelki, The Oath of Boyd, Katoria, Toy Lowly, Becky Sparks, Fernambulax the Poodle, Zach, Tracy Scrabbit, Angry Casperl, Tim Price, Adam R.D.L. Taylor, Shayla Gourlay, and Brendan LaRose. Thanks for your support. If you want to hear me probably mispronounce your name as well, check out the rewards on the Patreon. How you doing there?